The theater held its breath in a way that felt almost physical, like the air itself had decided to stop moving. Thousands of eyes were fixed on the quiet figure walking carefully toward the center of the stage. When the spotlight found her, it revealed a young woman with a shy smile and a calm that seemed too gentle for such a massive moment. No one in that room was prepared for what was about to happen next, not even the famously tough Judge Simon Cowell. Her name was Putri Ariani, and she had already stunned the world once before. Blind since birth, Putri had learned to experience life through sound, touch, and intuition. Music had become her language, her escape, her shield against the doubts of a world that often underestimated her. When she first appeared on the stage of America's Got Talent, her voice felt like a miracle that descended from the ceiling and wrapped itself around every heart in the room. That first performance alone could have defined her forever. But greatness, as it turned out, was only the beginning of her story. Before that second performance, few people truly understood the road she had walked. Growing up in Indonesia, blindness was not just a physical challenge for Putri, but a social one too. There were whispers that she would never live independently, that she would always need guidance, that dreams as big as international stages were meant for other people. Even basic education was a struggle, with schools unsure how to support a blind child who wanted to sing, write songs, and play multiple instruments. Her parents stood as her first line of defense, protecting her dreams when others tried to quietly shrink them. They taught her to believe that her limitations did not define her, even when the world tried to. Music became her refuge. While other children ran in playgrounds, Putri explored melodies. She learned to feel the keys of a piano the way others read books. She memorized entire songs after hearing them just once. Yet for every moment of progress, there was fear. Fear of failing on stage. Fear of being pitied instead of respected. Fear that her blindness would be seen before her talent. Those fears followed her all the way to the biggest stage of her life. After her first iconic performance on AGT, the pressure became heavier than ever. Suddenly she was no longer just a talented girl from Indonesia. She was a symbol. People across the world were watching, waiting to see what she would do next. Some believed lightning could not strike twice. Others wondered if the magic was already spent. Backstage before her second performance, Putri sat alone with her hands resting gently on her keyboard. Her breathing was slow, but her heart was racing. This time, the judges wouldn't be surprised by her voice. This time, expectations were towering. As she walked onto the stage for the second time, the applause was louder, but the silence afterward felt deeper. Everyone knew what was at stake. The stage lights warmed her face. She took a quiet breath, whispered a few words of gratitude, and began to play. The first notes were soft, almost fragile. For a moment, it felt like the song might fade into the air before it truly began. Then her voice entered, stronger than memory, deeper than surprise. It carried pain, hope, fear, and faith all at once. This was not just a song. This was a confession. She sang about darkness without despair, about loss without surrender, about standing alone without being lonely. Each lyric felt drawn from her own life, stitched together with courage. Something changed in the room. Conversations stopped, smiles faded into tears, and at the judges' table, the man known for his steel-hearted honesty leaned forward, eyes shimmering. For years, Simon Cowell had seen thousands of singers chase dreams on that stage. Many were talented, a few were unforgettable, but moments like this were rare. This was not a performance crafted to impress. This was a soul opening itself in public. As the song reached its peak, Putri's voice soared higher, not in volume, but in emotion. It felt like she was no longer singing to the audience, but to every person who had ever been told they were not enough. When the final note faded, the silence returned for a heartbeat. Then the entire theater erupted. The applause was not polite. It was thunderous, relentless, unstoppable. Simon stood up, wiping tears from his face. In that moment, he was not a judge, not a television icon, not a gatekeeper of success. He was simply a human being moved beyond words. When he finally spoke, his voice trembled with emotion. He admitted that she had done something almost impossible. She had made him feel again in a world where feeling had become rare. Behind that perfect moment on stage was a story of countless unseen battles. There were the nights Putri doubted herself, wondering if her success was just luck. There were the rehearsals that ended in frustration when her hands slipped on unfamiliar instruments. There were the comments online that tried to reduce her to an inspirational label instead of recognizing her as a serious artist. Each challenge tested her resolve, and each time she chose to continue, not because it was easy, but because music was the truest part of who she was. Her second song did more than shock the judges. It redefined what the audience expected from her. She was no longer just the blind singer with a beautiful voice. She was an artist with vision that did not rely on sight. She had proven that the heart sees further than the eyes ever could. As voting progressed and the competition continued, Putri carried more than just her own dreams. She carried the hopes of children who felt invisible in their own lives. She carried the faith of parents who were fighting for their children's futures. She carried the reminder that talent does not ask for permission from circumstance. In the end, whether she won the title or not no longer mattered in the way people once thought it did. Her victory had already happened in the hearts of millions. She had stood on the world's biggest stage, not as someone defined by what she lacked, but as someone celebrated for what she gave. The night Simon Cowell broke down in tears became more than just a viral moment. It became a symbol of what happens when raw truth meets an open heart. It proved that even the strongest walls can fall when touched by genuine emotion. And as the lights dimmed and the audience slowly filed out of the theater, one truth lingered in the air long after the echoes of applause had faded. Putri Ariani did not just sing a second song. She reminded the world that limitations are not endings, that pain can become power, and that courage, when given a voice, can move even the hardest hearts to tears.